Welcome. In this video, we will analyze if XCN coin can make a new ATA. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and please watch till the end to understand. Looking at the chart from a broader perspective, one of the most notable structures is a sloping support-resistance line that the price has been interacting with for a long time. Unlike an ordinary trend line, this curved line does not run at a straight angle, but rather at a more organic curved slope that changes direction over time. This shows us that the balance of supply and demand in the market is not rigid, but more gradual and shifting over time. Such curved lines are particularly important as they more naturally reflect the psychological boundaries of market participants and their reactions to price movements. This curve we are looking at has been in contact with the price many times in the past, meaning that every time the price approached this curved line, it received a reaction. What this tells us is this: the participants in the market have recognized this curved line, and it has become an important level of collective consciousness. So, as we often say in technical analysis, the rule, the more a level is tested, the stronger it gets, also applies here. When the price has touched this curved line in the past, it has either found support or encountered resistance. Therefore, this line represents a critical zone for current and future price action. At the moment, the price is positioned exactly below this curve, and there is significant technical pressure just above this level. At the same time, however, it is clear that there is significant potential for a breakout of this pressure. If the price manages to break this curved line upwards in volume, that is, if it can move above this curved structure, this will create a very positive technical picture. Why? Because such a breakout would not only mean crossing the curve, it would also mean that the price would break through a level where it has been stuck many times in the past, and investors would start to look at it as a new level of support rather than resistance. This means that a psychological threshold has been crossed. This kind of transformation often leads to aggressive price action, especially if the price manages to stay consistently above the curve line after this breakout. It becomes a breakout pattern. In such a scenario, the probability of the price starting a journey towards a new all-time high, ATH, all-time high, is extremely high, because technically, the price would have broken a long-standing limiting structure, and there would be no new resistance zone in front of it. In other words, the price could gain momentum as if it has reached the end of a tunnel and the way is open. Breaking this curve also boosts traders' confidence. When a level that has been tried and turned down many times before is finally crossed, it usually means that the big players have also stepped in. This leads to an increase in volume and supports the persistence of the rise in the price. Traders who trade at this point will engage in breakout strategies. Some will increase their positions, some will wait until the previous resistance is broken. Combined, this could further accelerate the upward momentum of the price. As a result, the importance of this sloping line is immense, both on a technical level and psychologically. The price has interacted with this line many times in the past, and each time it has produced certain reactions. Currently, we are just below this curved line, and a possible breakout could signal a fundamental change in the market structure. If the price can break above this critical level and hold there, then technically the hurdles are reduced and a new all-time high, the ATH target, becomes a realistic possibility. But we need to look not only at the curve line, but also at other metrics so that our analysis is correct. Stay tuned. Looking closely at the chart, it is possible to see that the current price action has clearly transitioned into the third wave within the framework of the Elliott wave theory. This theory suggests that markets move in waves based on a specific psychological cycle and consists of 5 main waves. Each of these 5 waves represents the sentiment of the market, the psychological reactions of investors, and the price movements that occur as a result of the balance of supply and demand. The third wave, the most critical and often the most powerful link in this structure, appears to have already begun. The first wave usually comes quietly, as the general mood in the market is still negative, and most investors are not convinced that the downtrend is over. The second wave is a natural correction after the initial rise, which often leaves investors skeptical again. But when the third wave begins, the picture changes completely. Confidence in the market slowly starts to grow, investors start to take positions for fear of missing out, and volume increases dramatically. This is the clearest description of the current situation. With the start of the third wave, a strong bullish momentum has begun to build. At this stage, it is crucial to use Fibonacci projections to identify targets ahead of the price. Fibonacci levels are often used not only on pullbacks, but also to predict how far the price can rise. Based on the current price structure, the minimum target levels are indicated by the yellow and green lines on the chart. These lines are not only psychological resistance areas, but also important horizontal levels that have been tested in the past and coincide with the expansion levels of Fibonacci projections, such as 1618 to 2272. This makes them not just ordinary levels, but also areas that the big funds and algorithms take into account. The third wave is often at least 1618 times the size of the first wave. However, in strong market conditions, this ratio can reach as high as 272 or even as extreme as 3272. In this context, the levels indicated by the yellow and green lines represent the potential targets of the third wave, but if they are exceeded, new, higher target zones could also come into play. Especially if the price consolidates healthily on the lower timeframes as it moves towards these levels and receives strong buying reactions on the dips, the third wave is bound to turn into an unusually strong uptrend. In this context, the third wave is an important transition phase, not only from a technical point of view, but also in terms of the mood of the market. Fear and doubt have subsided, replaced by excitement and anticipation. Market players are increasing their positions, new buyers are entering the market, and there is a general optimistic mood. The levels I have shown are the minimum levels where the price can maintain its momentum and go higher. One of the most notable technical developments is that the price finally closed above the 200-day exponential moving average, which it has been trading below for quite some time. This is considered a very important development in technical analysis because the 200 EMA is a major indicator often used by traders and algorithms to determine the direction of the long-term trend and to analyze the overall health of the market. Especially in highly volatile assets, such as the cryptocurrency market, staying below the 200 EMA usually signals the dominance of a bear market, while crossing above this level is perceived as the first signal of a potential trend reversal. And at the moment, the fact that the price has broken this important technical barrier to the upside and is holding above it sends a strong message that a new bullish cycle may have begun in the market. When we evaluate this situation, in the light of historical data, it is possible to see that the price has initiated strong rallies in the past when it broke above the 200 EMA level in a similar way. These past examples make the current picture even more meaningful because historically, price movements above the 200 EMA indicate periods when investors are psychologically motivated to buy, large funds open positions, and the overall market perception turns positive. In this context, the current price action is not only a technical breakout, but also a harbinger of a major shift in market sentiment. A sustained break above this EMA, especially on daily or weekly timeframes, increases the chances of the trend evolving into a longer-term bullish cycle. This brings up a scenario where the price could reach new highs in both the short and medium term. Looking at the current situation on the chart, we can see that while the price is struggling to hold above the 200 EMA, there has been a noticeable increase in volume. This is another data that supports that the rise is not just a technical coincidence, but there is a serious demand behind it. If the price continues to stay above this level with daily closes, and the 200 EMA now acts as a support on possible pullbacks, this point becomes a confirmation of the trend. In such a scenario, the previous highs would act as resistance as potential upside targets. But as the market structure and psychological thresholds are crossed, it becomes quite likely that the price will move towards an all-time high. While previous highs are usually the first target for such technical breakouts, if psychological resistances are broken, the price may accelerate further and move towards Fibonacci expansion levels or pattern targets. Therefore, a break above the 200 EMA is not only a short-term event, but could also be the start of a larger bullish cycle. Moreover, in previous cycles, a move above the 200 EMA has been followed by an increase in new investor inflows, increased interest in the project on social media, and a generally positive sentiment in the market. As a result, the price crossing this technical barrier, which has not been breached for a long time, should not be considered as an ordinary move. On the contrary, it marks a very important turning point in both technical and psychological terms. If this process continues in a healthy way and the 200 EMA level starts to work as support, it is not difficult for the price to move towards new highs. The potential for the price to test a new all-time high is seriously on the table, especially with increased investor interest and market conditions supporting it. This could be a new step to take it to the 88th level. If you are following the NVIDIA stock, you can click on the video on the screen. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Goodbye.